Hey everyone, it's summertime Jack the Jobber here from Cultaholic, and I'm ready to talk about the biggest party of the summer. Are you? That's right, we're here to talk about WWE SummerSlam 2022. Possibly the second biggest show of the year behind WrestleMania. Royal Rumble fans may disagree. Let me know what you think in that cheeky comment section down below, and lots, of course, of big matches to talk about. We've got Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in that last man standing match for the Undisputed Unified Champion, the big belt. We've also got a big tag team rematch between the Usos and the Street Profits to talk about. We've got the Mysterios versus the Judgment Day. We've got Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. We've got appearances and matches, in fact, from Logan Paul and Pat McAfee. Loads of stuff to get through, so let's get right to it now. This is what happened at SummerSlam 2022. The first match is the home state girl Bianca Belair defending her Raw Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. This one has a very back and forth start with lots of grappling and Becky targeting the arm. It follows the pattern generally of this whole match, which is that it's not the cleanest match I've ever seen, but it feels very gritty and real. At one stage, they fight into the Timekeeper's area with Becky delivering an elevated leg drop. Later on, she goes for a draping leg drop with Bianca hanging through the ropes from the apron, but Bianca reverses it in midair into a nice powerbomb. Back to the outside they go, and Becky tries to use Bianca's braid, but Bianca pulls Becky into the ring post, and now Becky's starting to favor the arm as well. And again, Becky would go on to try and use Bianca's braid a couple more times, at one stage getting reversed into kind of a backwards powerbomb from Bianca, kind of like, do you remember when Undertaker tried to teach Kane how to do the last ride, and Kane just didn't get it and threw people overhead. Later on, Becky reverses the KOD into a disarmer, but she can't get it fully extended, so with Becky still clinging onto her arm, Bianca drags her out of the ring and hits a KOD on the outside, and Becky almost gets counted out of the match. Bianca goes up top, possibly for the 450, but Becky pulls her off by the braid, using it once again. She then hits the manhandle slam for a very near fall. Back up top they go again, with Becky now looking for an avalanche manhandle slam, but a great Spanish fly gets pulled out the bag by Bianca. A nice reversal there. She stands back up, hits the KOD, and retains the Raw Women's Championship. After the match, it looks like they might come to blows, but instead Becky, with a very sad look on her face, actually offers Bianca a handshake. The crowd beg Bianca not to accept, not to trust Becky, but she does, and Becky doesn't attack her. This could well be a babyface turn for Big Time Bex. That's one surprise, but the surprises are certainly not over yet, because with Bianca left alone celebrating in the ring, whose music should hit but Bayley? She's back. Bayley heads down the ramp, obviously to a huge reception. She's still very much a heel. She's talking trash to Bianca all the way down, but then she stops, and then Dakota Kai's music hits, and she comes down to the... I don't even think... Didn't she get released? This was certainly a big shock. But that's not all, because then IYO SKY's music hits, and it looks like we've got a new stable in town with Bayley, Dakota, and IYO all aligned. They get in the ring, but Becky stands with Bianca and says, come on then, bring it on, probably cementing her babyface turn, to be fair, and the heels don't want any of it. They leave, but this certainly sets up things nicely going ahead. The next match is Logan Paul versus The Miz. Miz is out with Maurice and Ciampa, all in matching green gear. Very, very fetching indeed. Logan comes out, mixed reception, quite a few boos. Oh, bit of a stumble when he tries to climb the turnbuckle, but he's fine, everybody, he's okay. Miz toys with Logan early on, faking a big penalty kick to the chest, but then just hitting a little disrespectful kick instead. But then Logan gets revenge, doing it back to The Miz. Oh, you cocky young man. Right, I'll take this more seriously now, because Logan does ramp up the intensity with a moonsault off the apron. Very nice stuff. Ciampa gets involved with a cheap shot behind the referee's back, but Logan fights his way back into the match with a blockbuster and then locks in the figure 4 a day before Ric Flair's last match. Miz makes the ropes, however, but then Logan carries on pressing the advantage with a big crossbody from the top and then a standing moonsault. Ciampa tries to get involved again, but this time the referee catches him and ejects him from the match. I love a big pay-per-view ejection. The crowd always go wild for it. But Ciampa tries an interesting tactic now that I've never seen anyone use before. He just says no. He gets a chair, sits on it at ringside, refuses to leave. Which, I mean, it's quite effective. Or is it? Because as Ciampa's sitting there AJ Styles' music hits, and he flies out the crowd and beats Ciampa through the stands away from the action, and we don't see them again. But that's possibly a very interesting feud of the future. After like all the Dakota Kai and IYO SKY stuff, or IYO SKY as she now seems to be called, Triple H's fingerprints seem to be all over this pay-per-view. Miz is distracted by this in the ring, and Logan hits the phenomenal forearm, but it only gets 2. So Logan ramps things up a notch, taking the Miz to the outside of the ring, laying him on the announce table, and then flying from the top rope all the way through the announce table with a humongous frog splash. It's very good. But back in the ring, Maurice distracts the referee on the pinfall attempt from Logan. Then Miz tries to hit Logan with his... Like, during his entrance, he was wearing a Polaroid of himself giving Logan the skull-crushing finale. That's attached on a chain, so he tries to hit Logan with that chain, basically. But Logan moves out of the way. Miz nearly hits his own wife, but Maurice jumps down off the apron and avoids it. But this leaves the door open for Logan to grab Miz from behind, nail the skull-crushing finale, and win the match. Logan Paul, quite predictably, beats the Miz. However, what I'm not sure was so predictable was whether or not Logan would be able to hold up his end of the bargain in just a straight-up singles match. And I think he answered that question emphatically. Whether you like the guy or hate him, he does seem to deliver. So hats off to Logan Paul, and obviously the Miz as well for being a pro, doing his job, and guiding Logan through this match. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, genuinely. The next match is the United States title match with Big Bobby Lashley defending against Theory. Theory attacks Bobby from behind before the bell while he's posing on the turnbuckles and beats him down with the briefcase. The referee's all like, "Do you still want to fight?" And of course Big Bobby Lashley still wants to fight, guys. Come on. Big Bob tells the ref that he's good to go. The ref calls for the bell, and the match is underway, with Theory trying to capitalize on a weakened Bobby. It doesn't work, as Bobby takes control of the match pretty quickly. Bobby's on quite a roll, so Theory decides, I've had enough of this, and he grabs his briefcase from the ringside area and just goes to leave. But of course, Bobby intercepts him and resumes the beatdown. After a few minutes of largely Bobby Lashley dominated action, Lashley goes for the spear, but Theory leapfrogs him and avoids it, and Bobby crashes into the corner. But pretty soon after that, Bobby catches Theory mid-move, presses him overhead, and drops him down into the Hurt Lock, and Theory taps out. It's a pretty quick match and a comprehensive win for Bobby Lashley. The next match is the no DQ tag team match between Finn Bálor and Damian Priest, the Judgment Day, and Rey and Dominic Mysterio. The Judgment Day are, of course, accompanied by Rhea Ripley, and the Mysterios are alone. For now. There's a big brawl at the bell, and the Mysterios hit some nice dives to the outside. But the match settles down, and Dom becomes the face in peril until he gets the hot tag to his dad, who runs wild. He also hits a nice surfboard spot with a steel chair to the outside. Now, weirdly, for a no DQ match, not only was everybody kind of abiding by the normal tag rules, but also the chair was the only weapon that got involved for the duration of the match. The Mysterios try to set up a double 619, but Rhea trips them from the outside and breaks it up. From there, the Judgment Day take control until the lights go out and mysterious music hits. It is, of course, Edge making his return to action with a very brood kind of entrance. He rises up from a platform, he's got the shades on, there's fire, and he's got a lovely new red jacket as well. Edge heads down to the ring and starts to kick some ass. There's spears for Bálor and Priest, and the Mysterios get back in the ring, hit the double 619. Rey hits a slightly ragged splash, but we'll allow it, it's good enough, and it gets the 1-2-3. The Mysterios win with a big assist from the Rated R Superstar, or maybe Driven by Demons is kind of his new tagline, because they said it on commentary, and it sounded quite cool. The next match is Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. They used to be roommates. Can they coexist? Well, no, they can't coexist. They're going to fight each other right now. Corbin's music cuts off halfway through his entrance because it turns out that Pat has hired a choir to sing Bum-ass Corbin. It's tomfoolery, but I've got a lot of time for it. The choir then segue into singing Pat's theme, which isn't quite Seven Nation Army, which must have just been a one-off at WrestleMania, but it's still okay. It's pretty catchy. There's a lot of trash talk to start this one before Pat hits a super kick and a Hurricane Rana starting off hot. There's also quite an interesting line on commentary in the early stages of this match, with Michael Cole obviously wanting Pat to win, Corey Graves obviously wanting Happy Corbin to win. There's a lot of bickering between the two. And Corey says, "Michael, I liked you better when you weren't allowed to have an opinion." And then Cole says, "That's changed. A lot has changed." Just quite an obvious reference there to Vince McMahon. Corbin dominates this match for a while. He throws Pat onto the announce table and beats him down, and Cole gets really heated, starts arguing with Corbin, and the crowd chant for Michael Cole. I never thought I'd see the day, but, you know, he deserves it. Pat gets a near fall off a huge superplex back in the ring and then hits a swanton to the outside. Quite a terrifying swanton with him nearly overbalancing, but he just about manages to nail it. Back in the ring, Pat counters the end of days, shoves Corbin, who bumps the referee and turns into a big low blow from McAfee. The referee recovers, Pat gets on the middle rope and jumps down into a sunset flip. It's kind of like the Panama Sunrise, but without the Panama or the... Is it without the sunrise? It's without the Panama. And it gets him the 3 count. Pat McAfee wins the match. And Michael Cole is just the happiest little boy in all of Tennessee. Corey talks a bit of trash to Pat afterwards. Pat doesn't care. He's too happy. He's won the match. Him and Cole have a big high five. Cole's just so happy, man, to like have a cool friend and to be set free like the genie at the end of Aladdin. And he heads off, Pat does, drinking a beer with the crowd, everything. He's just a natural babyface. And it was the right call, probably, to have him win this match. Drew McIntyre comes out now for a promo, and he's in cheeky babyface mode. He's hyping up the crowd and getting the crowd to chant for a young boy in the front row. Quite a nice moment there. He hypes up his title shot for Clash at the Castle and then sets off some fireworks with his big, massive sword. Not too much more to report from this promo, but it was just kind of, I found the tone interesting. It was a bit more of a looser feel to Drew here, and I think he came across far more likable once again, far more himself. I don't know if that's just because he was in a particularly good mood, or maybe just had a less tightly scripted promo and was allowed to let his natural charisma flow again. We'll have to pay attention to how promos feel going forwards in the Triple H era, but I think it was a promising sign. The next match is for the tag team titles, with the Usos defending against the Street Profits, with, of course, Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. The Street Profits make their entrance with some Tennessee Titans cheerleaders, and they're just having a ball. At the start of the match, Jarrett's involved almost immediately, physically dragging Jimmy and then Dawkins out of the corner whenever one of them goes over his 5 count. Dawkins at one stage gets the hot tag to Ford, who's just very exciting, isn't he? Then Dawkins gets the hot tag also with a huge dive to the outside, and commentary say, put some respect on Angelo Dawkins' name, and I agree, he's been fantastic recently, and Ford obviously has as well. They're just a really good tag team now. The Usos regain control of the match with some super kicks. Jimmy hits the big splash, but Dawkins kicks out. So then both Usos head up top and hit the big double splash, but Ford gets in the ring and breaks up the pinfall at the last second. A Jey Uso super kick misses its target and almost hits Jeff Jarrett, but he catches the leg, and Jay's kind of hung up a little bit distracted as well, and that means he falls prey to some Street Profits offense, culminating in Montez Ford's huge frog splash, but he can't make the cover quickly because his ribs hurt, and when he eventually does, Jay kicks out in the nick of time. Ford is furious at Jeff Jarrett for this. In fact, he'd been quite agitated at Jeff throughout the match, but it really became clear here, with Ford really losing his mind before angrily tagging out to Dawkins. Ford continues to rant and rave, but he gets beaten down on the outside, which leaves Dawkins isolated. He gets hit with a big double super kick and then the 1D back in the ring, and that's enough for the Usos to retain. It's obviously a great victory for the Usos, of course, but it's an unusual one for the Street Profits. Afterwards, we see Dawkins looking devastated in the ring, and Ford with just this kind of vacant stare, which I might be overreaching here, but I could definitely see being used in a video package in future if Ford does indeed turn heel. He was a bit unhinged in this match, and I don't think that was an accident. We'll have to see where it goes. At this point, before the next match, Riddle crashes the show, jumping the barricade and demanding that Seth Rollins get his ass out here. Rollins does come out and he's ready to go. He wants to fight, but officials and referees come out to try and stop him. The pair run at each other, meet on the ramp, and brawl. They end up brawling down to the ring, and Riddle loses the brawl. Remember, he's nursing that injury. Rollins stomps him and walks to the back laughing. Ooh, you evil man. The next match is Liv Morgan defending the SmackDown Women's title against the woman she took it from, Ronda Rousey. Ronda is in control early on, playing up to the whole Liv underdog thing, and Ronda really is quite dominant. She goes for Piper's Pit, but Liv elbows her way out, so then Ronda goes for the armbar, but it's reversed into the Rings of Saturn from Liv. Ronda stands up out of this and goes for Piper's Pit again, but Liv hits a nice crucifix roll-up, but it only gets 2. Ronda this time gets the armbar fully applied, and Liv just about makes the ropes. So Ronda goes for the armbar again, and again, Liv makes the ropes. Quite bravely, but she's really selling the arm now. The doctor even checks on Liv, who wants to carry on the match. Ronda gets yet another armbar, and it's fully applied once again, but Liv stacks Ronda's shoulders up. 1, 2, 3. But Liv appears to tap at the same time. The referee gives the belt to Liv, and it's announced that she's won the match and retained her title, but the replay shows that she tapped before the count of 3. The referee got it wrong. Ronda is fuming and reapplies the armbar on Liv. The referee stops her, so she hip tosses him to the ground and hits the armbar on him as well. I think Ronda's quite rightly justified at being screwed, but I think this also clearly represents a Ronda Rousey heel turn. I also think, and this is just my opinion, let me know what you think, but I think this is a good move. I think that Ronda just seems like a more natural heel, and this could really serve her well. Before the main event, we get an appearance from Kane, obviously the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. We're in Tennessee, just to announce the attendance, and now it's time for the big one. It's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in a last man standing match. Brock drives a tractor down to the ring and stands in the scoop part, I guess you call it, above Roman and does his own ring introduction. He then dives off onto Roman below and the match is underway and Brock's just dominating. They brawl into the crowd and back to ringside. Brock hops onto the guardrail in one bound but kind of falls like, whoa, but nobody laughs at him because it's Brock Lesnar. Heyman sneaks up on Brock from behind. God knows what he was actually going to try. Maybe a Taz mission or something, but Brock catches him anyway. But it is enough of a distraction for Roman to nail Brock with the Samoan drop through a table. He hits a Uranagi through a second table, but Brock beats the 10 count. They get back in the ring. Roman nails 2 Superman punches and a spear, but again, it's not enough. They avoid each other's finishers, and then Brock just whacks Roman on the outside with a section of the broken table and almost wins. Roman's struggling now. Brock loads Reigns into the scoop of the tractor and drops him down into the ring. It's not quite as cool as it sounds, though. It's a bit of a gentle, ploppy landing, but it's definitely unique. Brock hits the F5, but Roman makes it up at the count of 9. He goes for a second one, but Roman slaps on the guillotine. But then Brock reverses into a guillotine of his own and chokes Roman out. And once again, Roman just regains consciousness and beats the count with a second to go. Lesnar loses his mind now, gets in the tractor, rams the ring, and uses it to lift a corner of the ring. And Roman takes a hilarious and very impressive, tumbling bump as the ring is lifted up under his feet. I've genuinely never seen that before, and it's very exciting stuff. But the Usos come along and try to stop Brock, but he throws them around with ease, really. Heyman at this point loses it and says, right, Brock, you've gone too far. Here, have the belt. He loads the title belts themselves onto Brock's shoulders and says, look, you just leave Roman Reigns alone. And Brock F5s Paul Heyman through the announce table. Roman spears Brock and both men are down, and now, as he promised, Theory's music hits and he runs down with his Money in the Bank briefcase. He nails Roman with the briefcase, but Brock F5s Theory before he can officially cash in. That's very crucial. Brock gets hit with super kicks from the Usos and a spear from Roman, but he still gets up before the count of 10. Roman grabs Theory's briefcase and hits Theory for good measure just one time, and then wails Brock several times with the briefcase. But again, Lesnar gets up. Roman nails Brock with a big belt shot, but Brock gets up again, so he hits him again with the belt. And now Roman and the Usos bury Brock in chairs and bits of the announce table and the ring steps and just create a mound of debris, pinning Brock down. And Brock can't get up. That's it. The referee reaches a 10 count. And Roman Reigns is still the champion. I've got to question the referee's decision there, because surely they were still interfering with their opponent, or Roman and the Usos were, while Brock was still pinned and the referee was making his count already. I find that dubious. But anyway, Roman Reigns wins. He is still the champion, and they found a way, I guess, of beating Brock without making it too unrealistic. This was a crazy match. There was stuff that I've never seen before, especially the lifting of the ring with the tractor. I know we all complained when it was Roman versus Brock again, but they found a way of making it stand out and making it feel special. It did feel like a big deal, and it caps off what I thought was a really enjoyable show. But I am interested to know what you thought of this show. Do let me know in the comment section down below. What did you think of the first pay-per-view of the Triple H era as head of creative in WWE? I really enjoyed it. But again, I'm keen to hear your thoughts. And thank you very much for watching this video. I've been Jack from Cultaholic. Thank you very much indeed. Stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.